angel coming for to sing his song. I can hear the drummer drumming. He's coming and it won't be long. Hear the cry across the nations. People wanna be free, yeah. Free to leave the great plantations. Free to be who they want to be. I see it sweet sound of freedom, and it won't be long.
Hello, everybody. It's Everett with Ohio for Freedom, and it is Friday night at 9:08 on 8/11. Think a month from now it'll be 9/11. Biden corruption bombs. We've known forever and ever that the Biden crime family has been engaged in influence peddling and made millions and millions. We know about the clip that we've seen many, many times of Biden boasting, bragging, to get the prosecutor in Ukraine fired. Now, in this program, I'm not going to talk about China. I'm going to talk about Ukraine. But it's really only been until recently. I mean, we've known about the laptop. We've known about those lurid photographs, the sexual escapades and sickness, and probably evidence of human trafficking, really sex trafficking, probably with minors. We've seen the drug abuse, and then we know about Hunter's felony gun charges that it looked like maybe he's still going to skate on. But we really haven't had that much concrete stuff until fairly recently. But that has changed, and we're going to go through some things. And we are in a psycho-spiritual warfare. We are in a narrative warfare. So it's important that we know the truth, because I'm here to tell you the mainstream media ain't going to help you, and you can't rely on other people to do your work for you. We have to know the truth, speak the truth, advocate the truth, and we also have to pray. We have to pray for corruption to be exposed, and we have to pray for corruption to be judged, and we have to pray for the right people to be in the right places. So that is why I am here tonight. And I also want to say I have a very accomplished musician friend that heard my opening a couple of days ago. He is my brother. My brother has a powerful singing voice, and he's a very talented songwriter and guitar player. And he gave me a comment on that opening track. And I just want to say thank you, Jeff. It means a lot. And maybe one day, the sweet sound of freedom, I'll make it available to everybody. But anyway, without further ado, we got a lot of ground to cover, folks. And there's no way. I've never been good at the cutting floor. There's always more stuff that I should put in. People that are good at editing, they can leave things out. I always try to cram everything in, but I don't really have to worry about that tonight, because there is no way that I could possibly cover everything, but I'm going to try to cover a lot. We got a lot of ground to get started on, so here we go.
I hear the sweet sound of freedom, and it won't be long.
Hey, I am going to say hi to Melody from Pennsylvania. Melody, by the way, and I got to get to my subject matter. I love the state of Pennsylvania. I used to deer hunt in Pennsylvania. I've been all over the state of Pennsylvania. I almost moved to Pennsylvania at one time, but I was voted down on that. And I'll say hi to Shannon from Oklahoma. So look, let me play this clip. I wondered how to frame all this, but the timing of a few events kind of helped me come up with some framing. So let me play this clip, and then we will talk about it.
Yeah, this is always going to end with the Bidens coming in front of the committee. We are going to subpoena the family. I mean, we're putting the case together to win in court. Obviously, with all the opposition and obstruction we're getting from the Biden attorneys now, we know that this is going to end up in court when we subpoena the Biden. So we're putting together a case, and I think we've done that very well. We've shown the bank records. If I had subpoenaed Joe and Hunter Biden the first day I became chairman of the committee, it would have been tied up in court, and the judge would have eventually thrown it out, because at that time the narrative was, well, they never took any money while he was vice president. He never had any communication with his business associates, and the money never came from China. We've had to go every step of the way and prove the media narrative was wrong, and the vice president and the current president lied. We have caught Joe Biden in so many lies, I can't even count the number of lies now. So we have put together a case that I think would stand up in any court of law in America, and we hope to hear from the Biden soon. But I wish the media would ask the president, what exactly did your family do to receive this $21 million that the House Oversight Committee has proven? He just
Okay, they are not going to find that. The media is not going to help. But folks, what you just heard is really quite a bombshell. Okay, Representative Comer is from Kentucky. He has a banking background. And so what is he chasing down? Like 190 something suspicious activity reports from banks. I mean, these are banks that they probably love the regime. They love the deep state, but they don't want to get in trouble. So they got to turn this over. And folks, this stuff has been out there for a long time. But the main thing, and by the way, this is my favorite t-shirt. I have a couple of these. They're City Barbecue t-shirts. So don't anybody think I wear the same t-shirt every day. I launder my clothing. But if I could, I would wear one of these t-shirts every single day. That's very important that I said that. I'm not sure why. So he just said, ladies and gentlemen, he just said he is going to. The way you say it from Brownsville, Tennessee is he is gonna subpoena the Bidens. He's going to subpoena Hunter Biden. He's going to subpoena Joseph Robinette Biden. That's going to happen. And he said that yesterday, August 10th. That is bombshell. He did say he's been taking the time to lay his case out, get his ducks in a row because he doesn't want something to fall apart in court. He's got a few more people he wants to talk to first, but he said that is going to happen. Now, if you are Joseph Robinette Biden, alias Fojo, you would be worried about that. More importantly, because he may not even know what's going on. He may even not know what's going on, but his handlers do. The deep state regime puppet masters do. They don't like hearing this because Mr. Comer is not going away. So this was Merrick Garland. This happened today at 12:15. Let me play part of it, and then we'll talk about it.
Appointment of David Weiss as a special counsel, consistent with the Department of Justice regulations governing such matters. In keeping with those regulations, I have today notified the designated members of each House of Congress of the appointment. In February 2018, after being nominated by the former president and confirmed by the Senate, Mr. Weiss was sworn in as the United States Attorney for the District of Delaware. Mr. Weiss had been a career prosecutor, having served previously in the office for more than a decade. Beginning in 2019, Mr. Weiss, in his capacity as U.S. Attorney and along with federal law enforcement partners, began investigating allegations of certain criminal conduct by, among others, Robert Hunter Biden. That investigation has been recently referenced in federal criminal proceedings in the District of Delaware, and as noted in those proceedings and other public statements by Mr. Weiss's office, that investigation remains ongoing. In February 2021, U.S. Attorney Weiss was asked to remain as U.S. Attorney for the District of Delaware and, in that capacity, to continue to lead the investigation. As I said before, Mr. Weiss would be permitted to continue his investigation, take any investigative steps he wanted, and make the decision whether to prosecute in any district. Mr. Weiss has told Congress that he has been granted ultimate authority over this matter, including the responsibility for deciding where, when, and whether to file charges, and for making decisions necessary to preserve the integrity of any prosecution consistent with federal law, the principles of federal prosecution, and departmental policies. In a July 2023 letter to Congress, Mr. Weiss said that he had not to that point requested special counsel designation. On Tuesday of this week, Mr. Weiss advised me that in his judgment, his investigation had reached a stage at which he should continue his work as a special counsel, and he asked to be so appointed.
That's the clip. That's the clip. Now, I said a few things about that in the car live earlier today. I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen. I don't buy that at all. Let's review a little bit about what he just said. He said that David Weiss, the prosecutor, and we had whistleblowers that came forward earlier in July, IRS whistleblowers that talked about special treatment and collusion, I'll use that word, between different interdepartmental people And so we know that this has been kid glove. This has been slow rolled the whole time. But did you hear what he just said? He said that Wise has been working on this since 2019. He didn't mention the month, but 2019. So here we are, as much as 4 years later, and it's just now reaching the status that it needs to be special counsel. This is my take. They're nervous about what Representative Comer said yesterday. They're nervous because this is picking up steam. The snowball is rolling down the hill and it's getting larger and larger, and it scares them. And so Merrick Garland is, I don't believe for a minute that this request was made on Tuesday of this week. He knew that Comer, as of yesterday, has stated categorically he is going to subpoena Joseph and Hunter. And so it's very convenient for him to say that on Tuesday, 2 days earlier, that Attorney Wise asked, can I please be special counsel? I mean, I've been at it for 4 years. Folks, I don't believe that. So what this allows them to do is to be in a position where they can use we'd love to comment on, but because there's an ongoing investigation, this is a circle the wagons, this is a CYA, and it stinks to high heaven. That's why we got to pray. That's why we got to yak. That's why we have to know, but it's not gonna work. Now, I'm going to move to some slides here. I am going to do my best just to, because everything that I say tonight, I want to be able to give some receipts. Hope I have this laid out in a fairly cohesive way, but I'll have to do some on-the-fly editing as always. But this is Victor Shokin, the Shokin, who is the smoking gun against Joseph Biden. And we're going to read some screenshots because I don't speak Ukrainian all that well. This is Mr. Shokin from probably about 2018, saying that we have to believe that Mr. Biden was told that we were going to start questioning his son and others, Archer and others, all involved in the Burisma case. And everyone understood very well that this fight was going to end very badly for them. I'm going to skip over that. Having understood all this, Biden used all the unofficial, that's important, unofficial means at his disposal. In particular, by using his men, he acted through them so as not to show his interest in this case. All right, so what that's saying, what Victor Shokin is saying, is that Biden has a habit of bullying his way through things, and he's playing both sides of the same game. He will play an official game while he is also playing a backroom, smoke-filled parlor game. And I'll just make this statement because Victor Shokin made it in that interview. He said, no one has ever produced any evidence that he was corrupt. And he makes a very astute but simple point. He said, if they could have found one thing that proved his corruption, guess what they would have done? They would be touting it. They would be trumpeting it to the world. But think about it, ladies and gentlemen. You've probably heard that Biden got a prosecutor fired. You never saw his face till a few days ago. You didn't know what he looked like or anything like that. But so you have this vague idea that there was a prosecutor that got fired, but you didn't know who he was. But you never heard anything specific that he did to prove his corruption. And the reason for that is, drum roll, please wait for it, there isn't any. I showed slides 2 shows ago of people from all over the region, the ambassador of Germany, the ambassador of Hungary, I think Sweden, the Netherlands, the State Department. John Kerry was at that time Secretary of State, and he replied to Victor Shokin through the infamous Victoria Nuland that they were very happy with him. So they've never produced any whatsoever. They've never produced any proof that Shokin was corrupt, but what he was extremely effective. He was bulldoggedly determined to get to the bottom of all this, and the Biden regime just wasn't going to have it. I'm going to go back to the slide, and let's see what I left off the table. Here's just some more factoids. One of the business partners, and Devin Archer made reference to this gentleman, Eric Schwerin, who was involved with Hunter Biden, that he made 36 trips to the White House from roughly 2009 to 2016 while Biden was in office. That is extremely, extremely suspicious. Now, this is and that's simply going through that. So let me keep going here. I'm going through some of these various. Okay, what you are looking at here on the screen, I want you, if you can see this, if you will notice at the bottom of the screen, it says U.S. Department of State, produced to HSGAC, not for public release. Well, it has been released to the public, and this is the Department of State. If you can read the top line, it says the Ukrainian scam of the Biden family, and the State Department was complaining that a Russian website and some Russian media had picked up on the fact that it's extremely corrupt for Hunter Biden to be on the board of Burisma, which is known for its corruption, and their CEO, Mykola Zlochevsky, was being investigated criminally. $23 million of his ill-gotten gains were being held up in a British bank by the British courts. That's what they're talking about. But what this bulletin is talking points. Now, please, I want to point out the significance of this. It's talking points for the then Vice President Joseph Robinette Biden when he is asked about the corruption of his son being on the board of Burisma. So what you're looking at is the State Department running interference for the Biden crime family. And this goes all the way back to 2014. 2014. So I think about it. When I read this, I was like surprised, and then I was also a little embarrassed because many, many times I've seen, reporters, mostly Peter Doocy, that would have the courage to get up to, Joseph Biden and say, have you ever talked to your son about his overseas business dealings? And Biden would mumble and he'd fumble and he wouldn't do so well. But I thought that he was fielding a question out of the blue and wasn't doing so well. I had no idea that the State Department had round robin pool of talent, sourced the best possible talking points for Joe Biden. Please let that sink in. For 10 years, the State Department has been running interference for the Biden crime family. That's what I said. And it's absolutely the case. One reason they are so focused on defending the Bidens to the core, we'll get into some other reasons in a minute. But see, if they can just hide behind the false narrative that there was a corrupt prosecutor and Joseph got rid of him, then that lets them all off the hook. It lets Hunter off the hook. It lets Joseph Biden off the hook. But it also lets the State Department off the hook. Why is our State Department, why are we paying these people to run interference for the Biden crime family? I've got a clip that I want to play, and this just illustrates the extremes that people will go to defend these people. This is just a random clip from a recent hearing that Representative Comer had. I'm just going to play it, then we'll talk about it.
I think I know what Trump's businesses were. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I just know what his businesses are. I don't know what the Biden's businesses are.
And you don't know what it's not.
Well, I'm sorry?
And you don't know what it's not either.
But what I'll say.
So you have no idea why or why not he received that money.
What I will say is,
You have no evidence about it.
Can I submit this MSNBC or this NBC article for the record as well?
Okay, truthfully, I don't know who that is. There's some young lady that was making some kind of a case before Comer's committee, and while she's talking, and Representative Comer is saying, what business are the Bidens engaged in? What did they do to get this money? And you hear this he must be a congressman. I've looked through the video. I can't tell who it is. And you don't know what business he's not in. You don't know what business he's not. These folks will go to the mat I said this earlier today, folks. The evil regime, the deep staters, and all high-level Democrats, there's three things that are true of all of them regarding this issue. One, they all know the Biden crime family is an influence peddling operation and that they have made millions of dollars selling out this country. They know that. There's no question. They all know it. I just showed you an actual communique from the State Department going way back to 2014. It's always been a problem for them. They've known about it for a long time. They know it exists. Number two, as evidenced by the clip that I just played, they will defend to the death. They will go to the mat to defend corrupt Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. Why? Because if they don't, they're all going down. And then here's point number three I want to talk about. I was trying to say this on a car-based live earlier today. They all have to deal with the jealousy factor. Please follow me on this for a minute, and I've got some other slides to get to. They've all got to deal with the jealousy factor. And let's talk about that for a moment. All of the high-level Democrats, all of the deep staters, they have to deal with this jealousy factor. What is a jealousy factor? Well, for some people, it's not a big deal. They're actually not jealous of Joe Biden and the like, and Barack and the like, making millions and millions off of the peasantry, you and I, the American taxpayer. In their minds, these are their elites. They're kings and queens. They're entitled to that. They're entitled to live off the largesse of the serfs and the peasantry. But others, perhaps, I'm just thinking out loud here, are okay with the jealousy factor because if they just play their game right, if they just bide their time and look for other deep state opportunity, their day's going to come when they can enrich themselves and they can be like Barack Obama. In 2 years out of being in the White House, they can buy a house on Martha's Vineyard and they can sit on the board of Netflix, etc., etc. But I have to think that there is a certain percentage of deep staters and high-level Democrats that the jealousy factor maybe works a little bit different. Maybe there's a few ideologues that think that that's a violation of ideological purity, and they resent that. But there's also got to be some of those that they resent that others are able to take advantage of opportunities that they should rightfully be able to take advantage of, and they don't. And I believe that factor right there is going to be part of the unraveling, because I believe that there are those that are going to start to turn. At some point, it's just like a Frank Peretti novel. These demon-influenced people are going to start to turn on each other out of self-preservation and self-interest, and it's going to be fun to watch. Now, I want to, let's make a segue here. Tucker Carlson, after the transcript, or after the deposition of Devin Archer, Hunter Biden's former business partner, he did more than an hour-long interview. I want to play what I think is maybe one of the most salient clips. This is a couple of minutes. I'm going to let the whole thing run. It's very informative if you care about whether or not we actually have the goods on Joe Biden.
Found this letter kind of amazing. It's from January 20th, 2011, which I think puts you in your late 30s, mid to late 30s. Right. Okay, so you're a younger man. This is from the Vice President of the United States, Joe Biden, to you personally, and it's personalized here at the bottom. Devin Archer, Rosemont Seneca Partners, that was your partnership with Hunter Biden in Georgetown. Dear Devin, I apologize for not getting a chance to talk to you at the luncheon yesterday. I was having trouble getting away from hosting President Hu Jintang, who was running China at that point. I hope I get a chance to see you again soon with Hunter. I hope you enjoyed lunch. Thanks for coming. Sincerely, Joseph R. Biden Jr. P.S. Handwritten, happy you guys are together. So there are many levels here. But here's the Vice President of the United States saying to you, a man in his mid-30s, who's not a government official, I'm sorry I was occupied with the guy who runs the world's largest country. I would much rather talk to you and thank you. What was he thanking you for?
Well, first of all, it's a lovely letter, and it was.
It's quite enthusiastic. It's a little weird, though, right?
Yeah. Well, it was kind of the beginning of our partnership, and he was thanking me and thanking Hunter. I think at the end of the day for bringing this idea of this government regulatory strategic advisory business into the private equity world, and I think he was excited about the prospects for Hunter, and he was just thanking me. I think it was a nice gesture.
It was a nice, for sure.
For sure.
Very polite. It gets a 10 on the etiquette scale, but he's a vice president of the United States,
right,
and he's talking about foreign business deals with you and thanking you for
right.
that.
I think, again, it goes back to my earlier point I think I hit the jackpot in finding the regulatory environment or company that can navigate right to the top. But, obviously as time was told, being a little bit too close to the sun ends up burning you.
For sure. And it did you, and you suffered greatly for it. And this is not a criticism of you. I would think as a business guy, you use every advantage. These are not business guys. This is the Vice President of the United States. He's not allowed to be working on businesses with foreign governments while he's Vice President. I don't think.
Not that I know of.
But here he is.
Right.
Amazing. We'll be back. Devin Archer.
Folks, that's Devin Archer. He gets a letter from Joe Biden while Joe Biden's president. He's just become a business partner with his son. And he's saying, sorry, I didn't get a chance to talk to you. I was dealing with a world leader, head of China. And at the bottom, he writes, I'm so glad you're working with my son. Maybe he thought that, Devin would be able to keep Hunter's crack addiction at bay. Maybe, have him using a few fewer hookers or whatever. But folks, please don't let the significance of that pass you by. Joe Biden, when he says he had no knowledge or never talked to his son about his business dealings, he is lying. He is lying. And it was so refreshing to hear on the opening clip that we did, Representative Coomer say, we've caught him in so many lies. I want to go back to, we're going to finish up a few slides here. So we talked about talking points that the State Department crafted for the Bidens going all the way back to 2014. This is, if you can see this is an email from Robert Biden. This is from Hunter Biden. I wanted you to see that. That's what it looks like. You go to the next slide. And I'll say this, if you read through this, he's given some analysis about energy and Burisma. It sure seems like he was taking advantage of some intel or input that he might have got from some government people. I don't know if I could prove that or not, but look at this right here. I put these two together. I wanted you to see it's part of the same email. Now listen to this. The announcement of my guy's upcoming travels should be characterized as part of our advice and thinking. But what he will say and do is out of our hands. In other words, it could be a really good thing, or it could end up creating too great an expectation. We need to temper expectations regarding that visit. What is this evidence of? Hunter Biden had advanced knowledge of when his dad was traveling to Ukraine and other places. And no, he couldn't control everything that his dad did, but by having advanced knowledge and having conversation with his father, he's able to play that to his Burisma partners and others as though dad is helping us out. Dad's helping us with policy. Folks, that's really, really huge. I'm going to keep going. This is Devin. Okay. And so after a trip of his dad to Ukraine, I think he's quoting, this is from Hunter Biden to Devin Archer. And he's showing, wow, we need to, this is Devin Archer's response. Wow, we made to make sure this ragtag temporary government in the Ukraine understands the value of Burisma to its very existence. And they're quoting an article where Mr. Biden spoke of the humiliating threats faced by Ukraine and said the United States was ready to assist. Folks, they're influence peddling off off of the vice presidency of Joe Biden. Now, this next slide, this is a State Department document, and this is the State Department. And if you look at, I'm looking at a date that says Wednesday, August 35th, 2016. And this is a State Department official saying, I'm picking up about middle of the paragraph. It's saying, commenting about this public-private partnership with Burisma, the link to Hunter Biden, they're concerned about that, you see, the link to Hunter Biden and the link to Zlochevsky, who almost certainly paid off the PG, that's the prosecutor's office, in December 2014. Now, why is that significant? Because that is showing you that State Department communications, and it's the State Department realizing, understanding that the head of Burisma, Zlochevsky, had almost certainly paid a bribe to get out of trouble. Obama knew about it. State Department knew about it. They all knew about it, and they covered it up, and they covered up Biden, and they covered up Hunter Biden. I'm going to keep going through some slides, trying to finish. Oh, gosh, this one. Oh, my gosh. This one is absolutely huge. I got to read it off another screen because it's small. So this is from Hunter Biden. It's dated 2015-11/3. So the 3rd of November, 2015. And he's writing to Vadim, one of his Burisma partners. Now, this is a little bit wordy, but it's worth it. He says, I hope you're well. Thank you for the docs provided. I've analyzed them most carefully and came up with the following observation. The first thing is that the suggested scope of work is largely lacking concrete, tangible results to achieve in the first place, mostly focusing on process. Also, listen to this. It doesn't offer any names of top U.S. officials here in Ukraine. For instance, U.S. ambassador or Ukrainian officials, president of Ukraine, chiefs of staff, prosecutor general as key targets for improving Nikolai's, that's the head of Burisma, his case and situation in Ukraine. Now, he goes on to say, I can understand if you want to be safe about what you actually put in print, but he says, my only concern is for us to be on the same page about our final goals. With this in mind, I would like us to formulate a list of deliverables, including but not limited to concrete course of actions, including communications resulted in high-ranking U.S. officials in Ukraine, U.S. ambassador, and U.S. publicly or in private communications comment expressing their positive opinion and support of Nikolai and Burisma. So, folks, what that is telling you right there is Hunter Biden was there to deliver to the company of Burisma the power of the U.S. government. Now, he was using a lobbying legal firm named Blue Star to accomplish a lot of that. And there's all kind of bullying emails that these people sent to the ambassador in Ukraine and different people in the State Department. But folks, go back to what Victor Shokin said in a slide that I did at the very beginning of this program. Biden used official and unofficial means. And folks, this Burisma put millions of dollars in the Biden's pockets. And I just showed you an example of what Hunter Biden was expected to bring to the table. Now look at this. We're nearly closing here. This is from the Washington Examiner. Sarah Bedford dug all of this out, but Biden got Shokin removed from his position as prosecutor general. Now, I was just talking about Blue Star, this lobbying legal agency that they use to attempt to set up all these high-level meetings with U.S. officials, Ukrainian officials, Really, really nasty people. Guess what? After Shokin was removed, the headline says, after then VP Biden succeeded in pressuring Ukraine to remove its prosecutor general Victor Shokin, the next person to hold the job had ties to Hunter Biden. So they had a lot of corruption. Shokin comes on board and he is a straight shooter. They get rid of him in the name of corruption, falsely so. And guess what? They're back to the false corruption. I'm going to read this is just part of the transcript from the deposition from Devin Archer. Mr. Archer, my only thought is that I think Burisma would have gone out of business if it didn't have the brand attached to it. That's my own honest opinion. I have no basis for any other. And so I read that to say the entire business of Hunter Biden and Devin Archer and Joseph Biden was selling U.S. influence and the influence of his father. I apologize. Prep time ran out. I could show you if I had more time, and I don't. But I'll just say, Joseph Biden had dinner out of country with board members of Burisma. It's very provable. And yet he would say he had no knowledge of his son's business. He never talked to him about his son's business. Folks, I don't know if I got anything left. I think I've left all on the table here. I could have. Oh, and I just want to say this. I just want to bring this slide up. I showed you about 15 of these slides about two shows ago. And that is Shokin was highly thought of. I mentioned that earlier. That's him with the ambassador of Hungary. Okay. I think I can lay this episode to rest. But folks, there is so much more. The Merrick Garland move is a dirty move. It's a CYA move. It's not going to be successful. Smokin' Joe is going to go down. Smokin' Joe is going to meet the wrath of Shokin. And folks, please pray. Please be upbeat. Please be optimistic. They're going to pull every dirty trick. But we've got the goods. I've shown you just a little bit of the goods. When you're going over this, I'm going to try to make a little speech and then shut up and go. When I've gone through about 190 pages of this State Department document, it's 170 pages of the Devin Archer transcript of his deposition. Looked at video. Look at this. I'm not saying that so that you feel sorry for me or feel impressed. What I'm trying to impress upon you is your head just swims with the volume of information. There is more than enough dirt. We haven't even talked about China. I haven't even talked about bank records. That would get away from me real quick. The goods are out there. Joe Biden needs to be removed from office. This corruption that goes all the way back to the Obama administration, all the way back to Obama himself, all the way back to all these State Department people, this has to go forward. And it ain't going to be pleasant. And it's going to be very, very unpredictable. But we will prevail. Please like, please share, please subscribe. Please help get the word out. And until next time, God bless you. God bless your family. I love living in the state of Ohio, and God bless the United States of America. Good night, y'all.
I hear the sweet sound of freedom, and I won't be long.